man police want to talk to in relation to last night's double murder is East. While police won't name him, the ABC can confirm.
Fitting this description, was seen walking away from the home and certainly in a southerly direction towards the Duke of Gloucester Hotel.
The Boodle murder mystery. Who killed Wiez, 32, and Anoushka, 15. It is not talked about much, but the unsolved murders of Wies and Anoushka continue to occupy Boodle. There are suspicions, but no answers. Wiez Henson, one of a twin, was born on 7 February 1957 in Boodle. Her sister's name is Vera. The older sister of the twins is Annelies. It was a normal Boodle's family. Father Sheng was a bus driver, and Mother Annie took care of the household and the 3 children. Near the Belgian border, just a few minutes' walk from the Flemish Hemont-Achel, lies Boodle in North Brabant, surrounded by beautiful nature. The village, where almost half of the population is unmarried, has a long and turbulent past. Theft, violence, and sex crimes are among the main crimes that plague the village. However, murder and manslaughter are rare. One big caveat must be made. The village has been burdened by 2 unsolved murder cases since 1990. These are currently being investigated as cold cases. Boodle and its somewhat stiff inhabitants have been honoring a festive tradition for as long as they can remember, the 5-day fair in August. And during such a village festival, on Tuesday, August 29, 1989, Wiez Henson, 32, disappears. A rock chick, that's how she is known in the village. She is last seen in the company of 2 young men, one of whom has remarkably blonde or bleached curls down to the shoulders. The next day, 2 cyclists who have dismounted at the Lunderweg to put on their rain suits see the naked body of a woman lying in a ditch. It is Wiez who was killed by strangulation. As a result of the murder, the police receive an anonymous letter in November 1989 in which the well-known pub owner of the Boodle Lucky Bar is pointed out as the perpetrator. This letter resurfaces 167 days later when the village is startled by a new murder case. Anoushka Wiesenbeek, 15, a girl with Indonesian roots, goes missing on the completely cloudy Monday 22nd, January 1990. She lives with her parents and 5 pets in a detached house hidden in the forest on Linden Lawn on the edge of Boodle Dorpleen. Anoushka wants to visit a friend and on the way goes to post a letter for her father. I can still see her standing in the hall, says her mother, Ria Wiesenbeek. She clamped the letter between her chin and chest so that she could close her new coat with both hands. She had put on makeup. She was cheerful. However, Anoushka does not really intend to go to her friend. She has a secret appointment with a certain Patrick. The secret meeting would be on the St. Barbara Weg, about a kilometer from home. When she is not home, around 11 o'clock in the evening, Mother Ria takes the Jeep to look for her daughter. Father Ad also goes on the road. On the Sint Barberweg, towards Hamon, Belgium, he sees her bicycle lying by the side of the road. As if you are dying inside, is how he describes the shock caused by the discovery. Anoushka's disappearance is initially kept quiet from the media. Only in a small circle is something known about it. 2 days later, 3 remarkable events take place. On the morning of Wednesday, the 24th of January, around 10:15 a.m., the phone rings at a journalist from D. Limburger. Because he has already left for work, a cleaning lady takes the conversation. A man with a Brabant accent wants to speak to the reporter, but there is none. Caller surprises the woman with the following message: I killed my ex-girlfriend and threw her into the canal in the Zuid-Willemsvaart near Dorplein. Without mentioning his name, he hangs up. Worried, the domestic help decides to go to the police to tell her story. Since Anoushka is only missing, the police do nothing with it, which is of course strange because a possible crime scene is mentioned. It is precisely in the part of Boodle where Anoushka lives. A curious detective would want to know where the phone call came from. You would think not so. The same day, a friend of Anoushka's reports to the police to confess something about the anonymous letter that had previously arrived at the police, and in which pub owner Sjaak of the Lucky Bar is pointed out as the possible perpetrator of the murder of Wiez Henson. What turns out, this letter was typed by Anoushka with gloves on at the friend's house, at home on the computer, and put on the mail Ins Hertogenbosch. In addition to the accusation, there is a chilling statement: if they know I said it, I will be killed. She would be driven by a sense of justice and concern for Renee, her boyfriend at the time, and Siak's stepson. The Boudel detectives get extra busy when a couple reports that same day around 8:45 p.m. Maria, 17, and her boyfriend Patrick, 19, seem to confirm the story about the anonymous letter. The duo knows Anoushka from the Boudel nightlife. The teenage girl might have something to fear from Siak, and she would know more about the murder of Wiez, the pair emphasizes. How did these two get this information? Well, Anoushka said that Siak would come and get her if she would open her mouth about the Wiez case. She was scared and asked us for advice. These seem to be important facts, a disappearance that has not yet been publicized, let alone that serious investigation is being done, and then in one day a murder is confessed and 3 young people report to the police to tell them that the anonymous letter was written by the missing girl, and that she is afraid that she will be killed. The first question that arises: why do these things happen one after the other in one day, and especially why right now? After all, there is no question of a murder yet, only a missing person. Who has an interest in this, and who else knows about this letter and information about the murder of Wiez? An unsolved murder case is now linked to a missing person, while the two may have nothing to do with each other. Both Siak and Renee are initially detained on suspicion of involvement in the murder, but they will soon be released due to lack of evidence. In 2019, DNA research can definitively rule out that Siak is the perpetrator. While the heaviest storm in decades is raging through the Netherlands with wind force 10 to 12, a passerby finds Anoushka's coat on the verge of the Kempenweg near the Zuid-Willemsvaart on Thursday, 25th January. The bottom of the zipper is torn. That day, a report appears in a local newspaper with the headline, "Crime Not Excluded in Case of Disappearance of Boudel's Girl." It is the first time that the case has been referred to in this way. There is extensive dredging, but that does not yield anything. It was not until 3 weeks after the disappearance, on February 12, 1990, a cold Monday, that a message came out. This morning, a skipper in Zuid-Willemsvaart saw a body floating in Weert. It soon becomes clear that it is Anoushka. It is located near the site of the Philips lamp factory on the canal, and that is a few kilometers away from the place that the anonymous caller passed on to the cleaning lady. A police photo from the same day shows the sad image of a girl lying on the floor with clothes on, but without a coat. Her boots are also missing. The same evening, Opsporing Verzocht pays attention to the case. Upon further investigation, it turns out that she died by drowning. She must have been in the water for quite some time, possibly 21 days. You would expect that she died violently. However, traces of this are missing, nor has she been sexually abused. She does have 2 superficial injuries on her shin and back of the head. A week after Anoushka was found, the police in Boudel distributed a form door-to-door with a number of concrete questions to possible witnesses. The response is enormous, and so the detectives get a picture of Anoushka's last hours. In various witness reports, a large brown car is shown. It is an Opel record, or possibly a newer model, the Opel Omega. This was spotted on the evening of Anoushka's disappearance, on the St. Barbara-weg and the Boedel-Dorp-line, in the neighborhood where Anoushka lives. The car drives towards the Belgian border and follows a cyclist. It is about Anoushka. The driver then drives next to her and speaks to her. It is then, around 7 o'clock in the evening, several witnesses see a couple a little further on the St. Barbara-weg. It looks like they are kissing. The young girl's granny bike is lying next to them in the grass, and a little further on the big brown car is parked. It would be the same man who had approached Anoushka from the Opel around 8 p.m. Someone sees the brown car driving over the extension of the Peeldijk near the place where the kissing couple was spotted. A witness explicitly speaks of an Opel record. Around the same time, local residents hear a scream, and a little later, a jogger almost trips over the granny bike, but that happens 100 meters away and on the other side of the road. The steering wheel points in the direction of Budel to find out who Anoushka was dating. The police dive into her school diary, and what turns out? For weeks before her disappearance, she has been dating Patrick, who is 4 years older than Anoushka. Yes, the same Patrick, who together with his girlfriend Maria, had reported to the police on January 22nd, and he does indeed drive a large brown car that is used by his father's company. Notes in Anoushka's diary, January 4th, Patrick called in the afternoon and asked what I was going to do tonight. Then we drove somewhere and stopped, talking and making love. January 8th, lights flash and drives towards me. It was Patrick happy. January 11th, I finally see him again tonight. January 18th, I don't see him for 2 weeks. No appointment is scheduled for January 22nd. Nevertheless, the two meet, something Patrick later firmly denies. He had gone to play cards with friends, he claims. However, it is still in her diary on February 1st. I hope to see him again tonight, 7 o'clock. With this information, Patrick is heard as a witness at the police station. He says he concealed the relationship on January 24th because his girlfriend didn't know anything about it. Initially, he waves the affair away because according to him, it was not much. He did have sex with her twice, and he wanted to put an end to it. During later interrogations, he acknowledges that it is more than a superficial relationship, and he confesses that they have had sex in his car a number of times. According to him, they last met on January 15th in a field near her home. He would have been turned off by her because she boasted about motorcycle boys she had slept with, and for this reason, he would not want to see her again. Patrick therefore states that he has nothing to do with the murder. His friends can't remember playing cards, so Patrick's alibi disappears. Tapping conversations on his phone does not yield anything. On May 1st, 1990, an arrest takes place, which is kept quiet from the media. Patrick is now being interrogated as a suspect, but continues to deny that he saw Anoushka on January 22nd. The investigators simply do not have enough additional evidence and have to let Patrick go. The death of the teenage girl is slowly disappearing from the news. It was not until 2003 that her file was pulled out of the closet again by a cold case team. Why? Because Patrick's behavior is reason to look at the case again. After the murder of Anoushka, he has repeatedly been in contact with the police because of trafficking in cocaine, increasing drug use, and excessive violence against women. His ex-girlfriends would be humiliated and abused by him. Maria is interviewed by the team in 2004. She says that Patrick is sickly jealous and controls her, which manifests itself in fists, rapes, and strangulation attempts. This disturbed behavior repeats itself with, as far as is known, 3 other women. In short, reasons enough to arrest Patrick again on May 3rd, 2005. However, history repeats itself, and he is soon free again due to lack of direct evidence. In 2009, Peter R. de Vries paid extensive attention to the case. For the first time, the brown opal record is being staged, and that would have made Patrick quite nervous. He is said to have called a friend in panic after the broadcast, and he calls in sick at work. The same friend tells the detectives that Patrick told him that he once rode a car behind a girl on his bicycle. This is an indication that was not in the old file. After intensive interrogations in which he remains silent on the advice of his lawyer, he is able to resume his old life after 10 days as a free man. Staggering is an unexpected conversation in Peter R. de Vries, crime reporter between Peter and Patrick. The violent coke dealer is then visiting a woman who has also been beaten up by him and who has enforced a restraining order. When asked what he thinks happened in this case, Patrick responds quickly that it was Renee or that father. Why? Because Anoushka ended up with something that she saw the body of Wies Henson at the time, that people were pushing the body of Wies Henson into the car. It seems that this is new information for Peter, suggesting that Anoushka knows more or even witnessed Wies' death. Who says that? She has that against me. Told my girlfriend Maria then. Yes, we went to the police with that. Peter confronts him that this was not the story he went to the police with. No, her story. My girlfriend then told her story to the police. Now, some 34 years later, the murders of Anoushka and Wies remain unsolved. For the inhabitants of Budel, these two murders of their fellow villagers may still be inextricably linked. But as long as no one has the courage to talk, it remains guesswork why these women were killed and by whom. This is exactly the reason why Anoushka's family turned their backs on the village years ago to rebuild something of a life in Spain. What remains is a whole series of unanswered questions, such as who has or has an interest in the letter being presented so soon after Anoushka went missing? Is it a diversion? Is the person who anonymously calls the house of the journalist of the Limburger to confess to the murder actually the perpetrator? Or is he doing this on behalf of someone else? The cleaning lady who answers the phone is the only one who has heard his voice. Did the detectives contact her later to check whether she may have had Patrick on the phone? Why is there no appointment scheduled in Anoushka's school diary on January 22nd? Was it a spontaneous action? And who did it come from? And if Patrick had squeezed Anoushka's throat for too long in an outburst of anger, is there no forensic evidence for that at all? Or has the water erased all traces? It is unpalatable that we will probably never hear the answers to all those questions.